So you moved to New York. Um, was it everything that you had hoped it would be? And what were some of the sort of maybe bumps along the way, maybe opportunities along the way that sort of changed, things?
Yeah, I mean, I would say New York is definitely as advertised. And now, having been in New York since 2009, being 30 years old, having the benefit of sort of graduating from, the youngest cat in the room to still generally, one of the younger cats, but there is another generation certainly of, bushy-tailed, bright-eyed young musicians that are coming to New York, whether for school or they just graduate and they come here, or they're coming from Europe or anywhere around the world. And it is really cool, because I lead a few jam sessions now around the city, and seeing that experience, the look on these kids' faces for the first time when they get to New York and they walk into the room and they feel the energy, of that jam session. But not only that, you can't really put a price on being in the same space as your heroes and seeing these people up close. And, part of the appeal for me was that in New York City, you're going to be rubbing elbows with the giants, with your heroes night after night. And I can remember so many times in my undergraduate, 18, 19 years old, and somebody was playing a midnight show down in the West Village. And I had like a, 8 a.m. jazz history class the next morning. And, Roy Hargrove is playing down at Smalls. Somebody sends me a text message. It's 2 a.m. They said, Roy just showed up. He's playing Is That So? Duke Pearson. Like, he's at Smalls right now. Like, you got to get down here. I'm in a practice room, 24-hour practice room in the dorms up in West Harlem, basically. And, hopping on the train, getting down to the Village, 2:30 a.m. There's Roy Hargrove. He's there. He's teaching everybody a tune. He's playing flugelhorn. He's playing piano. I mean, that was like a masterclass. That was like, that was school, basically. And going down there, doing that, staying out till 4 a.m, waiting for the train to come back, going, getting pizza. Now, all of a sudden, the sun's coming up. It's almost 6 a.m, and I've got class in 2 hours, And when I look back, I can't think of a better training for the life of a freelance jazz musician than that. The amount of times that I've had to wake up and be somewhere, on no sleep is like, that's pretty good, professional training unintentionally. But
yeah, that reminds me of this 2-week tour I did with the Basie band, and it was a European tour, and it was. That band works every day that they're out. I think we had 1 day off.
Wow.
So what that means is that you go back to your room after the gig is over. Sometimes you can lay down for about 2 hours. Then you got to get up, pack, and, head to the airport.
Man.
So a lot of that kind of stuff.
But, it's like I said, you can't really put a price on it. And, that's part of the allure of New York, is that these cats are out here every night, and it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because as I was going through the gambit of figuring out which schools to audition for, and I think so many young students, they kind of they build up in their head and they say, oh, New York City, I have to be in New York right now. I gotta be at Smalls, I gotta be at Dizzy's Club, I gotta go to Juilliard, or I got to go to Manhattan School, or, maybe I go to New School or Purchase or something. But I mean, I have to be in New York. And, there's kind of this, I was guilty of it too. At 18 years old, everything I had ever thought I wanted was that Juilliard had just started their jazz program a couple years prior. And I wanted to go to Juilliard so bad, and what I quickly realized, and what a lot of those professors later told me too, is that, New York is not going anywhere. These jam sessions, the kind of heartbeat of the scene like it is, no young person should be in a rush to get there. And in a lot of cases, for a lot of young musicians, first impressions are really, really, really impactful, right? So it's almost like if you go out to these jam sessions and you kind of like turn over the hourglass, now the clock is running. And now you're at Smalls, you're up on stage, you're standing next to Roy Hargrove. Nobody is going to say, oh, wow, you know, his solo was really good there for, what is he, about a freshman or a sophomore? Yeah, he sounds really good for an 18-year-old. It's like, no, you're on stage at a professional setting with professionals, and now you're in the same pile as Roy Hargrove and Jeremy Pelt and whoever else shows up that night. So, you know, for a lot of students, they're probably best suited to like run in the opposite direction from New York City and find a practice room somewhere else and just practice your butt off for 4 years. If your ultimate goal is to then throw yourself into that pool, it's almost like, why would you want to jump in before you're ready? You know, it's like drafting someone right out of high school and, you know, having them go straight to the league instead of having them play, you know, in the D League, or it's like having a minor leaguer go from single A to the majors. Like, if you're 18, 19 years old, there's nothing wrong with just practicing, you know, and taking some time. And then when you graduate and you're 21, if you still want to go to New York, like, Smalls is going to be there, you know, all these people are going to be there. So I definitely grappled with the balance of wanting to be out in that scene every night, but still having to show up for the 8 a.m. class, still having to, you know, do my humanities courses and, you know, still practice my instrument. Because when you're a young student of the music, it's nice to have gigs. It's nice to be out there hanging and feel like you're making inroads in the community. But really, your number one priority should just be getting better on your instrument, you know?